When you have a group of friends who are working on something and they want to bring you a part of it because you're a part of their tribe, that next big thing could ultimately be your next big thing. So finding a tribe, finding a group of people that can build you, can uplift you, can offer you advice, and to tell you that everything is going to be okay when things hit the fan, that's ultimately what's most important.
Once you're able to you know, find people who are like-minded, people who want the best for you, you should really hold on tight to those people. I think a lot of the times when we think of like mentors or people that we can go to, we always think people who are doing better than us or in higher positions than us. And I think that a lot of the times we need to realize that, you know, sometimes you have to look to your side, not always up.
And it goes back to collaboration, which is, you know, you can't do everything yourself. You're strengthening your team as a whole, you're strengthening the company, and, you know, without a tribe, like, no one wants to be out here in the streets alone.
And that's professionally and personally. I found my personal tribe growing up in LA, going to school out here, and that friendship circle that keeps you grounded and also supports you. And my professional tribe, many of the members who you'll see in this series, came along the way as I started walking in my own purpose and my own professional truth. People came along to help the journey.
So I had the opportunity of meeting Issa, I want to say 7 years ago. It was around the time when Issa first launched Awkward Black Girl, and I had just launched my first web series.
So Issa, I consider a friend. We started, when she started Awkward Black Girl, we were starting our web series. And we just had a natural bond, have kind of always shared and tried to collaborate through the years. And just really was inspired by her journey and what happened with her. You know, to see the history that she made, I think helped us keep going, you know. I think inspired so many people.
Issa is just so awesome at identifying fresh new voices and telling stories even on our own that need to be told, that really showcase artists, actors, creators of color in layered, multi-dimensional ways.
We started having these, I want to say they were quarterly meetings that we called We Are the Web. And it was a group of content creators who were creating content on the web, and we would come together to give each other information and tips on how to market, how to finance, how to cast, how to find locations, just how to push your digital series forward. And throughout this process, Awkward Black Girl really took off. And so Issa kind of became the keynote speaker. And so we continued to do these meetings, and that's pretty much how I continue to foster this relationship with Issa.
As she's getting so many opportunities, as Issa Rae Productions is getting so many opportunities, they are also opening doors for others.
I heard about this contest and Color Creative for the first time through, I think, like one of Issa's tweets or something, very random. And it sounded amazing, and what I was really drawn to was, like, at the end, they actually took the winner's project and made something, which is something you don't see very often.
And it came out that she was doing a search for new writers, specifically underrepresented writers. And so my roommate suggested that, you know, I get something together. I think the tweet was very serendipitous in that it felt like it was something that I was meant to do, even if I didn't win.
Went through the whole process, was thrilled and excited every step of the way. I never thought I'd get through, and I kept getting through the rounds. Not only did Color Creative bring in outside mentors to work with me, you know, professional writers and producers in the business, but they also worked with me directly.
Having very critical eyes on my work was something that I had longed for, but didn't necessarily know how to like approach that. And so having the mentors and like the incubation and all of that, it just really helped hone my skill and teach me the discipline necessary to actually make a living out of this career and out of this craft.
Storytelling is such a fundamental part of the human experience, and us trying to analyze and figure out our place in this world and our meaning in this world. It's a way that we communicate and learn.
In those days when we first started, there weren't many representations of like Black women that we felt looked like us or acted like us or really reflected us.
Images are so powerful. I remember watching The Cosby Show in a different world, and it really expanded in my mind the possibilities for what was possible, or it also just like reaffirmed things that I knew to be real in my everyday life, and it's important to see that. So it's important for people of color to be a part of that conversation, to lead the conversations.
So the fact that they promote minority writers, female writers, all of the writers that have, feel disenfranchised and are disenfranchised in this industry, the fact that Color Creative and Issa and Denise are supplying this amazing platform is just something I'm super grateful for.
Milk and Honey was an opportunity for us to prove that there was an audience that would be receptive to, stories that we care about and people who we could identify with. And so it really was like claiming our space, and proving that other people had a desire for, those same types of stories. So to have the opportunity to launch it on Issa's channel was just such a blessing. And then to see there were so many people like myself that were hungry for the same thing. What's been amazing is that it's so many different types of, creators who are coming up from the digital space, like starting in the digital space and proving that there's room for all of our voices and all of our stories, and it's been great to build and collaborate with all of these different types of people.
I started working on Giants around the time where we were ending our second season of First. And so it was a pretty smooth transition as far as putting Giants on the channel because, Issa and I had this relationship. We had been collaborating, on several other series that were pretty successful for the channel. And so that is how, Giants found its home at Issa Rae Productions.
As creators, you're always very, I should say, protective, but you really want your brand to be, aligned with another brand that fits your brand, and that's always hard to find. Where should it live? You know what I mean? Who should we partner with? Because we're very specific about our branding and our tone and our message. So when, Issa Rae Productions was like, oh, let's put it up on the, the channel, I'm like, it was a no-brainer. We had no conversation about it. It was just yes.
I had the opportunity to write First. She was one of the first places I thought about as far as it being a good home, a space where I knew that artistic integrity was important, and also showing, showcasing actors of color and artists of color in a way that we weren't seeing in mainstream at a time where just boundaries and doors are being busted open. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of that community with the hope that I'll be able to do the same.
The great thing about Issa Rae Productions and the Issa Rae YouTube channel is the audience is super engaged, they're very responsive, and Giants is my 4th digital series, and so I knew the difficulty of finding an audience. I had done other series where I put it up on its own, YouTube channel. Because there's so much content out and the market is so saturated, it can be really difficult getting your content in front of an audience. And so it was imperative that we found a home and a platform where there was a built-in audience, and that's pretty much what Issa Rae Productions provided, for Giants, and it's been a very instrumental part of our success.
And I worked with Denise, and she was amazing, and Issa was very supportive every step of the way. They gave me great notes on my script. I had great discussions with them. They were there anytime I needed them for support or to brainstorm something. So it was really kind of like a writer's dream to work with them.
Milk and Honey has expanded in this way of reaching a much younger audience, I think, of reaching audiences and people who relate to the story in different ways, who know the story of the struggle and going after your dream. I think the fans or the viewers or the supporters of Issa Rae Presents, those people are very much, they're very much understanding of the intrinsic desire to go after your purpose. So I think our show resonated with them from the comments and the views, because these are people, I believe, who are watching Issa Rae Presents because they have a dream.
I'm so grateful to every single person who has hit me up, has commented, has asked about First, because I can't even express like how that has even fed me in pushing forward and fighting for it at this next level. And I do want everyone to know it's not the end of it. It was not the end. There has been so much work behind the scenes that has been done to try to bring it to an even broader platform.
I feel like my truest intention for creating this series has been met, because what I wanted to do was to touch people. I wanted to make people feel. I wanted people to identify with these characters. I wanted people to see themselves, through this show and this series. And being on Issa Rae's, YouTube channel has allowed me to reach a bigger audience than I would have been able to reach by myself.
I think we just have to keep doing it. We have to keep creating, we have to keep supporting one another and proving that there is enough space for more than one, and I always tell people that your eyeballs and your dollars count.
You only need an idea and the aspiration and the determination to get it done. I mean, it starts with the idea, and you have to then put the idea to work. Don't allow yourself to get paralyzed by this idea of perfection, that you have to have a huge crew, that you have to have a lot of money, that you have to have named actors or a celebrity behind your project. You just gotta start.
And I'm like preaching to myself, because I also do this, but oftentimes we just think about things so much and we're trying to figure out, okay, if I do this, then that'll lead me to. And sometimes it's just as simple as just doing it and taking the first step. And the first step could be as simple as coming up with an idea that you feel very passionate about, and that you think that there's an audience for.
The best advice I can give you, and it sounds sort of dumb, but it's to write. And a lot of people don't realize that. They get so focused on, oh, I have to network, oh, I have to do this. And really, it's a skill. It's not something that you can just roll out of bed and expect to write an amazing script one day. You have to do it. I mean, I have written so many scripts before the script that I applied to this program with, and so many of them are terrible. And you have to go through that process and write terrible scripts, and then probably the next script I'm going to write might be terrible. So you just have to keep writing and just build up a huge library of things that you've written.
And there are other careers and I think other life paths that you could take that allow you to always feel good about yourself, but that's like a lesser version of you. So I think that this gave me the opportunity to realize the validity of my own dreams, but to also push myself to be the greatest creative that I can be. And I think that's what it all boils down to in the end anyway.
So even at this level, I think there's this misunderstanding, like, well, you don't really have to know it. You just have to, you just have to shoot something and put it up. And yes, I think that's true. You have to press the start button. But there's something to be said to actually be a master of your craft. Because in any genre, if you're a master, then the next step will be paid for you. You'll have people reaching out to you. You'll have ample opportunities. Because people will say, oh, they know what they're doing.
If you're ever looking at the masters of cinema or TV, it's easy as a creative person to compare yourself to them and to aim for your work to look like theirs. But then you have to roll it back and realize that what you see is the culmination of years and years of being willing to grow and sometimes fail publicly.
Issa has done just an awesome job of showing and creating a work that could transition from the web to television with Insecure. And the process of that, for me in particular, has definitely had its ups and downs. And but at its core, I realized what's so important is persevering, finishing, trusting that you're enough, and trusting that what you receive, this vision that you have, is a story that that needs to be told. And believe in yourself and believe that your ideas have a place in this world and your stories have a place in this world, because they really do. And I just encourage people of color who have stories that they haven't seen, on any platforms before. Don't feel like there's no place for those stories. Value our stories because they are important to be told, not just for us, but for generations to come.
What's it like to not see yourself on television?
I mean,
what's it like to live like that?
I had the privilege of being able to see myself in the entire 90s growing up, to see versions of myself. And what I also saw was that taken away, was that disappear. I saw that disappear, and I saw alternative reflections of Black women specifically shown on the screen, where, you know, there were Black women that I did not know, that I did not necessarily recognize, that were entertaining, but weren't the people that I know. And that's kind of what compelled me to create who I knew.